Hi, welcome everybody. Rob Provencher here from my little home office down in the dungeon in my basement of my house. I want to talk to you guys about what I consider to be one of the most important marketing strategies that you can apply for your photography studio, basically for your life as well. And that's goal setting. I want to talk about goal setting. I know you've probably heard it a million and one times. You have some goals. But I want to kind of try and add a new light to it and give you a couple personal examples from my life and really emphasize the importance of having some sort of vision, some sort of goal, some sort of idea of where it is you want to go in life. And how this links directly to photography, being a creative photographer or an artiste, if you will, as well as a successful and profitable studio owner. Now, you see, for me personally in my life, I really got into the whole goal setting thing way back when I was like 19, 20 years old. That's when I first discovered business books, self-help books, self-improvement books, books like Think and Grow Rich, Power of Positive Thinking, The Magic of Thinking Big. And then eventually I got into, I've always read books like that. I've been to seminars, workshops, yada, yada, yada. I made my big life transition in 1991 when I was 31 years old. I really went in a new direction and really started to take this whole goal setting thing very, very serious. So some of the key events from a result of that happened to me. I can remember way back when I decided, actually I was taking, Tony Robbins' 30-day personal power. This is going back to early 90s. Remember that infomercial when Tony Robbins was getting real big? I decided to buy it for myself. But I decided if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I think it was $300-400 at the time, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to do the actual work. And it was a 30-day thing, Monday to Friday. You had a cassette every morning. Remember cassettes? If it was today, it would either be iPod audio files or CDs or downloadables. And every morning I got up early and I sat down and I listened to the cassette and I did the work. There was a workbook. And as a result of that, there was a lot of goals involved as well. And I already kind of knew that, so I kind of wasn't, he was preaching to the choir with me. But it was great to have that structure. So a couple of the things, I got to tell you this is really cool. One of the things I wanted at the time, if you may recall, the Hasselblad cameras. I used to own an old Mamiya RB67. If you don't remember the film days, this was a big medium format camera. It was a clunker of an item. I had all the lenses, but it was getting old and worn out. And I really, really wanted a Hasselblad. Now, Hasselblads were extremely expensive. In the tens of thousands of dollars. And I knew it was going to be a barrier. So I wanted a Hasselblad. I wanted a new car and I wanted a house. At the time, I lost pretty much everything. I didn't go bankrupt or anything like that, but I did kind of change directions and I actually got smarter and wiser and I became a better person as a result of a lot of changes that went on in my life. It was the same year that I joined Toastmasters and did a lot of really cool things. But the goals were, I wanted to get that Hasselblad, and I really needed a car. So I wrote it out. I said, this is what I want. I want a Hasselblad, and I put it down as my goal. And I knew that I needed to at least take an action step, and this is really, really important. So if you have some goals, not only should you write them down, but you should take an action step. And I don't care if it's something as simple as you want to lose 10 pounds, take an action step. Go to the bookstore and get a book on weight loss or drop in at the local fitness club and say, I'd like to talk to one of the health fitness counselors or the personal coaches and whatnot. Just start an action step. You see, that gets the universe moving. So what I did for my Hasselblad was I had a check in hand. It was made out to me for about $227. So that next Monday, I went to the bank and I said, I'm going to open up my Hasselblad account. Okay, now that's an action step. So I went to the bank across town. I didn't want it to be too close because I didn't want to be able to give in and go take the money out and buy something else. So I put the money in account and I called that my Hasselblad account. Done deal. I knew it was probably going to take me a couple of years to at least get into the zone where I was going to have a down payment, right? That was my thinking at the time, but I knew I wanted one. So about a week or two later, and this is like true story. I'm in my local camera store buying film. And it was a Saturday afternoon. It was late in the day. And I was buying film. I had something going on. I can't remember what. But the owner of the camera store actually was his son. He was about my age. He was kind of managing the place. He says to me, he says, Rob, I got this Hasselblad. It's a 500 EM, electric motor. Actually, it was 2 bodies and 2 lenses. He says, I got this 500 CM for sale and this EM and 2 lenses, the Hasselblad. And I said, no. I glanced over and I looked by. I said, it's not in my budget right now. And I took a second look. I saw the price list, and the original price was, something like $8,900. It was scratched out, and there was a multiple of scratching outs, and down to like $3,500. Now this was a used camera system, but it was in good shape. So I looked at it again. I went, "That's a good price, isn't it?" And he said, "Yeah." He says, we have this Chinese auction. It's a consignment system, and all week we've been selling stuff on what's called a Chinese auction, where every day the price goes down a certain amount, and that's why it was scratched out." And I looked at it again and went, I said, "Look, well, what do you think if I gave you, the guy who it's consignment, so it's not theirs." I said, "Do you think he would take a $227 deposit and like give me 90 days to pay it off?" He said, "Well, I don't know. I'll phone the guy and ask him. I'll let you know." So on Monday, he calls me and he says, "Rob, it's good to go." He says, "You'll take that offer if you want to put a deposit down, $227, and he'll give you 90 days. So I went and closed my account, took the money out, $227 down on this. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. But you know what? I paid for it. 90 days to the day. I walked in with my final, $500 I owed on it. And I walked out the owner of a brand new Hasselblad. I couldn't believe it. I used that system for years, up until I went digital, and I sold it all in 1999. Same time, I wanted a car, and I described this car to a T. Okay? I wanted something a little sporty. I couldn't afford anything brand new. I had to have a good sound system. I had to have easy payments because I couldn't afford a lot. It had to be a good, reliable car. And I swear to God, that week, one of my good friends walked in. He said, I wasn't married at the time. I was a single guy. I lived in a different lifestyle than my friend who was married with 2 young children. He was responsible, and he had mortgage payments and all that. But he says to me, he walks in. He didn't know. He did not know I needed a car. He just walks in. He says, "Hey, Rob," he says, "you want to buy my Mazda 626? I just bought a new car, and they're not going to give me much on trade. You can have it, and I'll let you just pay me monthly payments, $200 a month." And he said it all in one breath. And I'm just like sitting there, my jaw dropped down. I said, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. So it was mine. It was one of my best cars ever. And it was exactly as I described it. It was sporty, easy payments, had an awesome sound system. And man, I love that car. I absolutely love that car. So I'll give you one more example. And if you've heard me speak at any seminars and workshops, you may have heard this one before. This is the most current one. The actual office I'm in right now is the basement office that I kind of do some work in my home. My studio is out back. It's a 1,200 square foot, used to be a garage, cedar lined outside, beautiful, 9-foot ceilings, 10-foot ceilings, insulated, had rough-in plumbing, its own high electricity, and I had very minimal work to do to get it up to a nice studio. I call it my dream studio, my dream home. Well, what happened was about 8 years ago. See, I've always done monthly goals, yearly goals, 5-year goals, and at the time I was doing a local meeting where we were doing it's called a monthly mentor, where I was at the local library, and it was kind of like just a volunteer thing I was doing, not for money or anything like that. We had a group of people meeting every month to do goals. Me and another gentleman, a good friend of mine, were running these. We did this for years. And one of the processes we did was a 5-year vision. Now, this is really, really important. If you can do this, I highly encourage you to sit down and write out a vision for 5 years or 3 years. 3 or 5, doesn't matter. But write down how old you're going to be in 5 years, how old your spouse will be, your kids, and describe what your life will be like. Okay, let me show you. Just hold on here. I'm going to just show you what that looks like. Here it is. 5 years. Okay? Your name, the year that it'll be in 5 years, your age, how old your spouse will be, and if you have any kids, how old. Like, my daughter in 5 years is going to be 20 years old. Wow. You know, that really puts things in perspective. 5 years, I'm going to be 57 years old. Wow. So then I write down in here, my health will be, my state of mind, and then I have another sheet where I describe everything in my life in 5 years. So if you can do these things, and what I had done at the time was when we were doing this process, just on a basic lined piece of paper, you know, kind of like this, but it actually had the coiled holes in it because I ripped it out of a sheet. And I did exactly what I just described to you, and I did the 5 years thing, right? And I wrote it out, and I had all this stuff written down, and then I put it away. I put it in my desk when I went home. I forgot about it. Okay, this is like 2-3 years before I moved into this house. Okay, so I'm in this house about a year. I've been here 6 years now. The way I acquired this studio was in this home. I'm not even going to go into that. It doesn't matter. The story is I found that 5-year goal sheet that I'd written out, and I think it was, at the time, it was 2003. And I looked at it, and I started to get shivers up and down my body. It was amazing. So I'm reading it, and I'm going, okay, in 5 years from now go back to 2003, when I wrote this 5-year thing out, and it said in 5 years, it'll be 2008. I will be, at the time, 48 years old. Or 50? Yeah, 50. It could have been 2006. I don't know, around there. You get the idea. I'm not good with numbers, but I'm reading this, and I'm like, oh, just like, wow. I totally forgot about it. Here's what I wrote. I wrote, in 5 years from now, I will be living in a 3,000 square foot home, not too far from the city, but not too close. You see, at the time, we had our studio in the mall. We had been there 9 years, or going on to 9 years, and we were kind of hoping to get a home studio. The home will be, as I described it, will be cathedral ceilings, a large lot, and it'll have an awesome studio for me to run the business out of. There'll be lots of wood, and I think that's the general gist of it. So I'm reading this, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't believe this. So let me show you a picture of the home that I currently live in. This is it right here. Okay? I'm going to, then, again, if you've seen me speak at seminars, I tell this story all the time. Do you know how big this home is? If you guessed 3,000 square feet, you would be right. It is exactly 3,000 square feet. That's excluding the studio, which is in the back, which is a 1,200 square foot studio, which matches the wood. The studio matches the wood. It's all cedar. It looks very artistic. Okay? Do you know how far from the city this is? Well, it's not too far. It's virtually on the city limits. Yeah, but it's not too close. Okay, we get bears, we get wolves, we get foxes, deer, moose. So we're close to the boonies, but we're not too close to the boonies. We're like a mile and a half from Costco and Starbucks and the movie theaters. So, but it's like perfect. Do you know how big the lot is? Well, it's an irregular shaped lot, but it's big. And it's exactly as I described it in that 5-year thing. Okay? So I'm like, man, wow, this works. This actually works. So if you don't believe me, try it yourself. Now, if you're a skeptic and all you have is negative energy, you're really going to kill this. If you're wondering, well, what does this have to do with running a photography studio? I'll tell you one thing. It's got everything to do with running a photography studio. Everything. Okay? Because one of my goals in 1995 when I got married with my wife was all of a sudden I got responsible. So, I got a mortgage to pay now. We have a baby coming. Let's get serious. So I looked at how much income I was making. And this is an area a lot of people have a hard time with. You must have financial goals. So I knew at the time I was grossing, as a single guy, $70,000, $75,000 a year. I could live off that. I had a home. I eventually got that little home I wanted. I had my car. I had a canoe. I had a motorcycle. I had no debts. Life was good. Business was good. I couldn't ask for more. It was all good. But when I married my wife and got responsible, I said, well, I wanted to up that to $150,000. And the next year, bam, $150,000. And then $225,000, etc., etc. The important thing is that you got to not be afraid to put a financial goal. You need to have self-improvement goals, like mental goals. What can you do to improve yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, physical goals, physical fitness goals, spiritual goals, gratitude goals. These are all important. But don't say to yourself, I'm not going to ask for money because money is evil. That's wrong. Because there's only evil people who do bad things with money. You got to, be okay with that. So, and all this pulls together, and you got to have marketing goals as well for your studio so that you can, and what my experience has been, is be prolific as a photographer. And out of that came my ability to really, really ramp up my style, to learn my craft, to develop a skill set that really brought me to new heights. Can you see how this is like an all-encompassing thing here? And it's really important to understand that, and better yet, to put it into practice. So we're in December 2011. This is the month where you have to sit down, get a notepad, and start writing it out. Okay? Don't just think about it. Do it. Don't just think about it. Do it. Okay? Sit down and write down, what do I want to be? Where do I want to go? How much money do I want to make? What do I want my physical fitness to be? And you got to really, really look at your emotional reaction. This is so important. The winners have a completely different response to the emotional reaction they have. The people who lose at this game have another set of reactions, emotional, and they let those emotions rule them, because you're going to feel like giving up. You're going to feel like quitting. You're going to feel like, oh man, this is too much pain. Okay, all these negative emotions take place, and the winners who get this and keep going at it are the ones who say, I'm going to feel the fear, I'm going to feel the pain, and I'm going to do it anyways. Okay? I'm going to delay gratification. I'm going to keep moving forward in spite of that. Those who lose at this give in and say, no, I can't do this, because, and their emotions are the deciding factors. So anyways, I've had enough to say about that. I hope I've helped you out and given you something to think about. This is so important. This is so critical. And if you don't actually pursue the advice I'm giving you in this, or at least to some degree or other, you're really, really giving up on an opportunity. So I'm just going to close off. I'm going to show you one final thing here. My daughter, who is 16 now, since she was a little girl, every year I've taught her to do goals. And so last year for my birthday, she made this for me. She's quite the artist. So she made this, and it was actually 2 pieces of whatever, Bristol board, taped together, and I really liked it. And it's a dream thing. I'm to write on my goals here. So I brought it in the studio because it was kind of folded in half, and I wanted to mount it, but I was having a hard time mounting it. So I'll just take a picture of it. I created a digital file, and I kind of cleaned it up a bit in Photoshop, and then I printed out a 12 by 18. I made a few copies. Okay, and my daughter made this for me. So, and it says on the top, if you can dream it, you can do it. And then on the bottom, she wrote out, dare to be bold and determined and ready to take on any idea that strikes your mind. So I've got this area here where I can put my vision board, my dream board, my goals. So I am using this for this year. And I've already started to write down ideas. I'm still in scratch note phase. My love list. Make a list of things you love. That's a good place to start if you're looking for ideas for goals. And I notice as I get older, my goals change. That's okay. I mean, life changes, right? Let me just show you something else. And I made a list of just ideas. These are goals. Okay? So I've got a whole list of things. My weight goal, how much I want to jog, yada, yada, yada. And how much I want to make, and whatever. It's all in there, and it's going to be transferred on here. And if I wanted to, like one thing I want is a new motorcycle. I want a new Yamaha Super Tenere bike. So I'm going to take a picture of one, and I'm going to tape it right there. And I do have a bank account with $5,000 in it. It's called my motorcycle account. Okay? It's December. There's too much snow outside to go buy one yet. But in time, it will be mine. Wow! All right, thanks, guys. If you have any questions, send me an email. I wish you all the very best of the holiday season and prosperity and success to you and your goal setting in the new year 2012. Prosperity, health, and happiness. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye.